We are back, and we have quite the video for you today because we're going to be talking about 10 of the most anticipated, or at least 10 campaigns in crowdfunding that we're anticipating coming up before the end of 2025. Are there a few that have been announced for early 2026?
Maybe.
Yes, there are. We're going to maybe cheat and mention one of those, but we'll see. We're going to try to stick to 2025. These are all either big campaigns, ones that we're excited about personally, or a little bit of both.
Ones that we think that will do really well. Ones that we think that people should be paying attention to.
Yeah, and you may have heard about some of these. Probably. Some of these maybe you haven't heard of, but we think these are 10 of the bigger ones.
I think the first one people are starting to hear about right now, at least.
And I think it's also the biggest at 42,000 plus followers.
That's huge.
It is The Witcher Legacy. We are fans of The Witcher Old World. We're fans of Go On Board in general. You never had a chance to play Cyberpunk, did you?
I didn't. I'd like to.
I liked that one as well. But The Witcher Legacy, and we're going to have content on this more very soon. But The Witcher Legacy takes what they started with The Witcher Old World and turns it into a legacy game. It's far more narrative. Like I said, watch our preview for all of those details, but it has, like I said, at the time of this recording, 42,000 followers. Honestly, I don't follow every campaign, but that's a lot of followers.
It is. I'd have to go back. I wish I could go back and look at Frosthaven and see how many followers Frosthaven had before launch.
Maybe.
This has to be close to that at least. I mean, this is a crazy number of followers.
It is a crazy number of followers. It's on GameFound, and particularly the way I compare these sometimes is you look at other GameFound, particularly Awaken Realms campaigns.
That's the benchmark.
Because those often have maybe some of the, at least consistently large follower counts. This is bigger than a lot of those.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be, I think, one of the biggest crowdfunding campaigns of 2025. It might be end up being one of the biggest tabletop crowdfunding campaigns that we've seen, period.
Yeah, it'll be big. I think it's going to take a lot of what you may have enjoyed about The Witcher Old World. It's going to weave in a lot more narrative and feel like a more cohesive story that you're playing through, as opposed to more of the open world nature of The Witcher Old World.
And I think that's the draw of Witcher Legacy. Like Witcher Old World, you come out with a pretty great story. And I say this in our video, if you watch that, this is more about following along. It almost feels like a choose your own adventure at some points, but what it does do is gives you some narrative control over the way that the events unfold. So it does kind of mix that gameplay with that choose your own adventure, cooperative style game. So like you're making these decisions together, but sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're making a decision that affects the whole group. And I think that feels quite thematic to like what is happening in the world at the time. Like they did a really good job here of merging these things together, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll be really special. And I also want to point out some of these games we'll be covering on the channel. Some of them will have been paid for. That does not factor into what we included on this list.
No, in fact, when we were making this list, I think some of these were like, oh, I'd really like to cover that one now that I've like really researched it. So some of these we didn't, even know about.
It was kind of funny because as we were researching, I was at the computer, Ryan was sitting here, and I was like, oh, what's this one? And then literally I'm taking a moment to like send a message to that publisher saying, hey, could we maybe work on this? Because I want to play this game.
Yeah.
And a lot of those were maybe for early next year.
Yeah, some of them were. And like we said, we've already covered The Witcher. This next one we're going to, I think, cover on the channel as well, because this is a game that I loved. This is Distilled Cocktails. This is a game, it's bringing a new... Like, it's bringing an expansion to Distilled, but I feel like calling it an expansion to Distilled is doing it a disservice. Because this is like, it's taking what Distilled was and just like elevating it into like what I would call a much heavier game.
Yeah, we took a brief look through the rule set, and it looks like you can add different pieces and parts. I think if I remember correctly, the rule book even said, use this for your first thing. No, don't add this and this.
Put it all in.
I know Ryan wants to add everything. And ultimately everyone will. But it does really feel like, I remember looking through the rule book and I sent a message to the publisher saying, whoa, this is, you're not messing around here. This takes Distilled to a completely different level of game, like in terms of weight and everything. It adds a lot of different things going on. And
not that Distilled was light. Not that was a light game to start with.
Yeah, but it was a medium game. Yeah. This is definitely medium plus now with all these things going on. I was surprised to see how much it was adding. So, and it also, it has a really cool shaker, like a cocktail shaker, a little one. That there is dice. It's not like a dice chucking like Luckfest or anything like that. But I'm assuming you'll use those dice in that shaker.
Yeah,
and roll them
it's a
out.
fun little thematic addition, and just the idea of the whole game, like it builds on what you're doing in Distilled with these cocktails. And you're distilling spirits from all over the world. Now you're making cocktails from all over the world. And there's even like a little map now that you're like claiming, almost like an area control feeling thing where you're like making cocktails in different areas, putting your tokens out to gain different rewards. Like this is cool. This is the kind of thing, like if you're a Distilled fan, I think there's no reason that you're not backing this. And that like Luthier was such a hit for Paverson Games. I imagine that we're going to see a lot of that translate to a pretty successful campaign. Now, expansions I don't think ever do as well as like a major release, but I still think they're going to do pretty well with this one.
Yeah, and I would imagine too, there may have been some people who came around to Paverson on Luthier who may never have jumped on the Distilled bandwagon.
And I'm sure you can get all of it.
And I'm guessing, we don't know this, but I'm guessing you'll have the full Distilled and you get this, and then there's a big all-in for all things Distilled. The next one we wanted to talk about, I don't know much about, and this is one of those ones where we went, oh, and Ryan had heard about it. I had not. This is Galileo's Truth. This is effectively a follow-up to Darwin's Journey. You see what they're doing there. Galileo's Truth is another game in that sort of vein. Same designers?
No, different designers. Different designers. This is Brasini and Gili, that's a couple of board game designers that I love. I will play anything that they've done.
I'm going to put you on the spot. What's the game that they've done that you like a lot?
Coimbra, that series of games I loved a lot. They worked on all of like the Simone Luciani games.
Yeah,
like
they're part of that team.
That Italian design team. They worked on the Renaissance Lorenzo Magnifico, which I love. Like,
were any of them involved with Grand Austria?
One or both of them was
Lorenzo
involved.
Il Magnifico, maybe?
Lorenzo for sure. Yeah. But they've done a ton.
Yes.
They've done a ton of games together. They've done a ton of games with that whole Italian design group. I love all of their work. Man, your brain just like blanks out the second you think about it. But I will always back a game with their names on it. And what's really cool here, what they're doing with Galileo's Truth is this is not like a mechanical sequel to Darwin's Journey, but it is a thematic sequel in that it is covering something like another like scientific idea. But because it's a series, they're bringing over a lot of like graphic design elements, iconography. The look of the game is going to look like Darwin's Journey. It is a worker placement game, and I've seen the actions that you take. They're designed in the same font and look of Darwin's Journey. It's really smart.
That is a smart thing. I remember when we were looking at that, and one of their updates currently focuses on that. And Ryan made the point, which I think is incredibly valid, is very reminiscent of like Garfield games. When you look at a Garfield game and you're like, the games are completely different, but a lot of the same things, the currencies, the resources, everything
is the same icons. Money is the same icon in all their games, so you always know it's money.
I think that's very smart. If they can pull that off and also make you feel like, oh, this is still a wildly different game now, that's going to be exciting. I don't know. I'll be curious also, you think this is a series, or do you think it's going to be this, Galileo's Truth, and then maybe a third in the trilogy?
I don't know. I think that they're leaving it open-ended so that we can see that they can leave it open to do whatever they want.
But I guess if it keeps success, it won't be a trilogy if they keep making bank.
We'll see what they could do. We got Darwin, we got Galileo, and like maybe Newton game. Like who knows? Like we can pull from all these like scientists, philosophers. I mean, Galileo is a hot topic right now. We've seen. And Darwin, too. We've seen quite a few games on both of them. There's been a handful
of Galileo games recently, for sure. Okay, the next one is an expansion, but also this is going to be one of those ones where I think you'll probably be able to get the whole game. This is Andromeda's Edge Genesis. And this one's coming up pretty quickly, I think. Unless they've updated things, the last time we saw it looked like it was going to be early mid-September for this campaign. Andromeda's Edge, this is a Luke Laurie game. Cardboard Alchemy. If you've ever played Dwellings of Eldervale, it is, in essence, a lot like that game, but it's science fiction. And they've kind of, in my opinion, really perfected what Luke Laurie started back then. And even before then, there are a lot of things it has in common with a lot of Luke Laurie's other games, for sure.
You get that Luke Laurie vibe, that worker placement, place a worker,
pull it back and do things.
And I think Eldervale was one of the best versions of that. Of course, that translates over to Andromeda's Edge, but this Genesis expansion adds more of everything I think that you're going to want. Like if you're somebody that enjoys that game, again, this is one that it adds more factions, it adds more fighters that you can fight, it adds more cards into the game. Like there's a lot of cool things that it adds, but I don't unlike Cocktails, I don't think this one is like elevating the weight of the game. I think it's just giving you more variability to mix into your game, because like the last thing you want is for a game like this to get stale. Now, I might not be the kind of person that plays the game enough to like get to that point, but I see people that like Andromeda's Edge. It's like a new Scythe. Like I see people that go every game night like playing Andromeda's Edge, because you want to see it all. You want to see all the different factions and all the, fight against all the different alien ships and everything. So I think this is a refreshing new expansion for that audience. And even just like, the casual player that wants to have it all, for sure.
Yeah. Side note, I finally met Luke Laurie at...
You had not met Luke Laurie?
I don't think we'd ever met. It was the last day of Gen Con, and I was in a hotel having a meeting in the lobby, and he walked by, and he kind of invited himself into my meeting, because it didn't look like a meeting, but I was there with Horrible Guild, and he sat down, and we chatted, the three of us, the guy from Horrible Guild and Luke Laurie. But yeah, he and I both realized over all the years, I don't think we'd ever met in person. And I think he might have even said it was his first Gen Con.
Oh, it might have been. I don't know that I've ever seen him at Gen Con.
Yeah.
So
it's now a full-time gig for him.
Yeah,
like game design is a full-time gig, which is kind of crazy.
He was a teacher before.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy to think that Luke Laurie, this was a side gig. Because us board gamers, we just look at him and think that. But yeah, a lot of these designers have other jobs.
There's a lot. Like you use a lot of prolific board game designers.
Yeah,
still work.
We'll do a video on game designers who do other things, and this is their side hustle. Because the king of that is Stefan Feld, who's like a school principal,
right?
Which is insane. All
right, so let's move on to the next one. The next one we're going to talk about was a game that we saw, or at least I know I saw it at Origins. I don't know when you saw it, but
I saw it between Origins and Gen Con here in studio.
This is Journeys Afar. This is coming from Indie Boards and Cards. Travis Chance is the designer, and this is like his opus, I guess. Like he would say, like this is what he would consider his best game design. I probably consider it his best game design. It's like a sandbox adventure in this faraway world full of like magic and fantasy and whimsy, and all like the artwork is gorgeous. And like, this is the kind of game, if you see it on the table, which I did, I walked over and I was like, oh, tell me more.
Yeah.
Like, this looks really good.
We not long ago did our video on the best player boards. And when you get a player board out of a game, when you're opening it and you go, I want to know more about this. This game, the prototype at this point, has player boards that are gorgeous looking. And Ryan said the artwork looks really, really good. And I mean, no offense to the other Indie Boards and Cards games, but this one knocks it out of the park art-wise. It just looks great. It is a bit of an underdog in terms of the list that we have today.
I was actually kind of surprised by
the followers on this are lower than they should be.
So yeah, go follow it, because I think that it deserves the follows. I think people need to be ready for this one. I am starting to see like the content rolling out. I know we're going to have some content on it. I've seen some other channels do some really good content on it. So check that out. But like, I do think that this will be maybe Indie Boards and Cards' best game. Like I've liked a lot of their games. I like Path of Light and Shadow. I like Aeon's End, obviously.
Have you played it? This game, Journeys Afar?
No, I just got the demo at Origins.
A demo.
So
yeah, I've gotten sort of an overview myself. I haven't had a chance to play, but I was just telling Travis the other day, okay, now I want to play it because I really want to know about it, because I'm telling you, and I know I'm superficial this way, but the artwork has absolutely done its job and pulled me in.
I think there's a level of superficiality that comes with board games. Like I would much rather play, especially these days, I'd much rather play the prettier, newer version of the game. Maybe I'm the only one, but like I like this trend of Euro games. Not that this is like super Euro-y, but I just like this trend of games looking pretty. And the components for this game look really gorgeous and everything as well.
Yeah, and just the last thing on it, it's in the vein of like a Ryan Lockett type experience where it's very narrative and but has some gameplay. I would say, based on the overview I got, this has a little bit even more on the gameplay side of things. Going to different locations. It was a really cool theme, and like I said, it looks beautiful. But that is Journeys Afar.
Yeah, I set up a segue there. I missed it. I didn't capitalize on my segue because I was going to move on to another one that we're going to talk about.
Move on to it?
I was going to move on to this next game, and this is a great example of what I was just talking about. This is Movers and Shakers from Quinn Games, and if you don't know Quinn Games, like when you think of
Agra.
Yeah, well, Agra was actually quite beautiful to look at, but like they do like the dry Euro games like that, but like lately, I think Agra was a great example, and some of the ones they've done since have been the table presence has been insane
and heavy.
Well, they are heavy.
They're heavy games.
And usually people don't think that heavy games are the most attractive games to look at, but Movers and Shakers looks very attractive.
Yeah, it also doesn't look crazily heavy.
I think deceiving. Looks are deceiving.
I think it's going to be heavy in a sort of thinky way, but not a mechanical way, because it doesn't look like a terribly complex game to play, like on your turn and whatnot. It does have a really cool mechanic. We've been lucky enough to get a hold of the rule book on this one, and the card play in this one, you're playing these cards out of your hand onto this player board that you have in front of you, and the player board has card spaces that have a top action and a bottom action, and depending on how you play the card, you can scoot it up to the top, so you're taking the bottom action, or you can scoot it to the bottom and do the opposite, in addition to whatever action you're taking on the card. Other than that, I don't know, but I'm guessing there's going to be some very interesting synergies between the actions on your cards and the actions that are in those spaces. And of course, I'm guessing that when you come around and you're playing another card, obviously you no longer have that action space to play. You're filling your board over a period of time, but it looks like a really interesting game and very beautiful.
Well, and let's not bury the lead. It's a train game too. Like
it is. There's trains involved.
Involved. So I'm in. This is the kind of game I can bring to my group for sure. Like Quind is always reliable at releasing like what I would say classic Euro games. Like they still keep that tradition alive. Everything that you play from them is very Euro-y, very heavy, and generally pretty crunchy. And this doesn't look like it's going to disappoint.
Yeah, and they don't put out a ton of games, right? Like we were talking about this earlier. There's a lot of publishers who've like kind of cranked up their output. So some of their games, especially in the Euro space, don't feel as special. Quind, they don't put out a ton. So when they put out a game,
what is this, 39? They're all numbered.
that is true.
They are all numbered.
They have put out a lot of games over the years, but they don't put out a ton every year.
For the amount of time they've been around, for this to be like their 39th game.
Is it 39 or 20 something?
I thought it was 30.
We'll put it in a message below here. You'll see. But yeah, that one looks really good. The next one we want to talk about, completely,
opposite direction,
different sort of game. But interestingly enough, from one of our most recent favorite Euro designers.
Yeah, one of the hottest designers around right now.
Yeah, this one is called Below the Asylum. And you're going to have to help me remembering what Below stands for.
Oh, the Bureau of Exorcism, Liminality, and
Occult Warfare.
There it is.
Below the Asylum from designer Tomas Holuk. Yeah. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly.
What a guy.
He's blowing it up. He had 3 big Essen releases last year.
Well, yeah, SETI, Tea Garden, and
Galileo. This year, he's got Aquaria coming from Delicious Games, and this campaign is supposed to be running before the end of the year. From Awaken Realms. And this is
never heard of this guy. I just want to say, I never heard of this guy.
Before last year.
The fact that he dropped SETI, which was one of my games of the year.
With one publisher.
Tea Garden, and Galileo, which we loved all 3 of those games.
From another publisher.
The fact that it came out of nowhere, did those 3, and we're like, wow, this guy's had a big year. Now he's got a game with Delicious Games and Awaken Realms. Like, that's like the top.
And so what it is very much in the vein of like Mansions of Madness or Death May Die thematically. They haven't shared too much mechanically about what is going on. But in the Awaken Realms next video that they did early this year, he did say a few things about it in terms of like balancing or the gameplay being built around sort of these 2 worlds, sort of the real, I don't know if it's the real world, but like, or the other realm.
Like the liminal world.
And you're going to be able to get more powerful in one. You can navigate those realms to sort of navigate dangers. Like you might be facing something and you could potentially maybe slip into the other world or something like that.
Sounds awesome.
But his designs thus far, not to mention Awaken Realms being really excited about this design, which is part of the reason or the main reason why they picked it up. I am super excited about this.
Well, I love the theme. I love the idea of what you're doing in the game. I love the Awaken Realms artwork. I love the miniatures they've teased so far.
The 2 miniatures. One of the miniatures they've shown is of a guy that has a cat, and on his back, and it's one of those miniatures that uses some of the translucent plastic, and those are cool in general. This one is really cool. When it's used with purpose, it's really cool. I assume the cat on his back is like the spirit.
It looks like a spirit
of a cat.
Yeah. He's like holding the physical cat in his hand, and the spirit of the cat is like on his shoulder. Like it's really cool.
But it looks really cool. I am guaranteed wanting to look into this further when they have more details.
And I think it's worth mentioning as well that like below is like it's this organization. It's also like a series. They said the asylum. Anyway. Well, hopeful. I'm sure it will do well enough. But they said the asylum is like the first game. The first game takes place in the asylum, and then maybe more to come.
Yeah.
So, and if you look at the game box, it even like the asylum is like the big letters, and then below is like this little watermark.
Yeah, it's like a seal that almost looks like part of the below line.
Right, which is a cool idea. Like I'm interested to see where Awaken Realms goes with this concept.
Yeah, well, and I think it's, for someone like Awaken Realms to launch a game like that, with the idea of it being more than just a one-off game is a smart thing to do. They're never one to sort of milk things too far. I mean, they started effectively with Nemesis as their big coming out game. And they've only done 3 of those.
Yeah.
Like over the years. And I think they're probably done.
The Norse game, the mythology game, the
Tainted Grail?
No, the one they started with, their first they didn't milk that one either.
They only did one other one.
They did one other one. Yeah. It was very different too. So I trust them not to like bury this franchise into the ground, but like I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Yeah, it's really cool. The next one we want to talk about is a Euro from years ago. In fact, 2018 is when they originally launched.
Maybe one of the most sought after Euro games.
Yeah, this one is Rurik, and this one is 2nd edition. Rurik, if you're not familiar, is a Euro that put Stan Kordonski pretty much on the map.
I mean, I would say so.
I think he may have done some other design work before then, but Rurik was his big first release. It came out from Peacekeeper at the time. Yeah,
I don't think they're not
this
even around
time
anymore.
It's coming from
Fantasia, which is very exciting.
All the Fantasia treatment.
We've seen like they've done a ton of games now.
Endless Winter.
Endless Winter Unconscious Mind was their most recent one that blew everyone away. People love that. But like what they're doing with Rurik 2nd edition, I think is much needed. Well, first of all, I said this is one of the most sought after games. I'm not kidding. People still look for Rurik. Rurik had this really cool like action economy system where you're like bidding for the different actions. Like it's like an auction for who's taking what actions. I've not seen anything like it before or since. So people still seek out Rurik. And so it needed this facelift. I mentioned earlier in this video, I'm a sucker for artwork. I think it's okay to admit that we like to play games that look pretty.
Yeah.
Fantasia Games, fantastic design group. The artwork that they've released for Rurik 2nd edition so far is amazing. The new board looks amazing. And they're leading away, like Rurik was this like medieval, almost like a medieval simulation game, you might want to call it. Like it was very historical,
it felt historical and dry in that respect.
Very dry. But what they're doing in this one, they're kind of pivoting to like more of a dark fantasy version of Rurik. Like the board is darker. There's like creepy elements to everything. And they're including like this like monsters expansion where you're like all this like Slavic mythology, like Baba Yaga and stuff. And these monsters will like patrol the like
that makes it interesting.
I think that's a cool idea. And just all the artwork looks a little bit darker and a little bit more fantastical than what we saw, which was like knights and like probably more historically accurate.
Sure.
But for me, this is more fun.
Yeah, and I think it's important when you're doing something like this for a Euro that's a well-tested Euro and something that had some success to not just reskin it for a 2nd edition, but really
I think we need to talk about that because they are changing it up. They've promised that everything is rebalanced.
Yeah.
They've promised all the powers are getting rebalanced. Some of the actions are being rebalanced. They're adding some new mechanics into the game that they feel like will modernize it a little bit. Because this game was like 2018. Like that's quite some.
That's when it was announced. Yeah.
So they're adding that. They're also adding like these deed cards that give you some more motivation, some like objectives to complete. And they're promising in one of the expansions to have kind of a revamped solo mode for the game as well. So
of course, everything has to have a solo mode now.
Well, for sure. But yeah, I'm really excited.
Back then, less so,
but it did have a solo mode. But this is they're saying a revamped solo mode. I mean, we've seen great work from them. So
yeah,
I imagine this will be too.
The next one we want to talk about is The Dark Tower, or Return to Dark Tower. I always just want to say Dark Tower.
Right.
Return to Dark Tower Expeditions. This is a expansion that's coming out for Dark Tower. I'm assuming, again, the campaign will have the full game available and all things that have been available thus far for Return to Dark Tower. But Expeditions has 4 expeditions that you can go on. It's going to include 4 new heroes, I think, new treasures, new
everything,
more of all of those things. And I'm excited because it's been a while since I've had Return to the Dark Tower to the table, and Dark Tower.
Well, for sure, probably a lot longer. For that
I do have a copy of Dark. I have 1.5 copies of Dark Tower in my attic, all corroded with battery acid dripping out of the bottom.
There's a reason why they restored this one. They can't restore yours, but they can give you a new one.
I wish they could restore mine, but yeah. We're definitely going to get to the table. I'm not sure we're going to get a prototype, but if we do, we'll get some content up on this.
Get a chance
just to show people what it plays like. Yeah, you've not played it much. You've only
played a prototype. I played
way back in the day.
It was a while ago. Yeah. I saw the early versions of the tower. I have not played with like the final tower yet.
Yeah, I got to make sure that the batteries in that tower are still Probably not, because it has been a minute since I played it.
This was a hit game. I mean, Return to the Dark Tower was a huge win for restoration games, and they've had several huge wins, so that's pretty good.
Yeah,
for them,
restoration, they hardly need our help. Like, we're not giving them much of a bump by covering it here, but yes. They're on a tear, man.
All right, so we got one more we want to talk about.
This is the cheat.
This is the cheat because technically it's launching early next year, and we will probably talk about this more. But everybody's talking about this game right now. It's Brass Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
we did a little speculation video on it a few weeks ago. Hey, this is probably right now the single most anticipated campaign in board gaming. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, aside from The Witcher, in terms of followers, it's the second closest to The Witcher that we saw.
Follower-wise, but I don't know why it's not got more followers. From the amount of people that are talking about it online, for the amount of
that's true.
Love
word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
I mean, it doesn't hurt that Brass Birmingham is the #1 game on BGG and has been for now, what, a couple years?
I think a year or two.
I mean, it's got a pretty firm position there. So much so that I think I've mentioned this. My first experience with Brass Birmingham wasn't great.
Sure.
But I don't know that it was the game. I think it was maybe the experience. So I've got a copy now, and I'm going to get it played to see what I think.
Yeah.
And if it's wildly different, you know what? No matter what, I'll try to do a video to share. Yeah, I still don't think I don't like it. It
is a heavy game, heavy competitive game.
I'm sure there's things about it that are not my typical cup of tea, but obviously you got to respect it.
When it's #1, you have to try. You're like, obviously, and when a game is #1 on BGG and you don't like it, it's not the game. It's like, it's not for me. You can recognize, like, obviously this is a much loved game, like for a certain sect of gamers.
For sure. So this is going to be a tall order for them. It's coming. They're launching in February. I don't know the exact date, but they're launching in February of 2026. They've been, starting a couple weeks ago when we did our video is when they announced it. And I think weekly they're having a little bit more information, which is kind of how you have to do these campaigns these days in crowdfunding. So I don't know everything that they've announced yet. I mean, they've given us a bit of a sneak peek.
Yeah, they have.
So I don't want
to don't spoil it.
I don't want to say anything that they haven't said yet. But they have unveiled some things that are interesting. I think will be very interesting for Brass players who are like, oh, okay. Because even as not a Brass player, some of the stuff that they'd shared, I was like, I can understand and, figure out how the kind of impact that it'll have on the gameplay. And like we said in our video, they're not doing this thinking like, oh, yeah, let's make a game that's not quite as good.
No, they want to make the best Brass experience.
They're trying to perfect the Brass experience, is my guess. So that's going to be a massive campaign.
Absolutely.
Now, the interesting thing about it, though, is it's not going to be one of those campaigns where you're like, oh, I went in for $600. It's going to be, it's Brass.
Unless you're going to, sure, but there probably will be a pledge that's $600.
I'm sure there's a pledge that gets you the Iron Clays.
Right,
that's a deluxe edition.
Have you seen that deluxe box that the Iron Clays come in? If you missed that deluxe box back when Brass first launched, I think that was the only way to get that big deluxe wooden Brass.
Wooden?
Or it was like a wooden box.
Oh, yeah.
For all the Iron Clays.
I do know the deluxe version of Birmingham, which is what they actually just recently sent us so that I could get it played, has the Iron Clays, but they're in it's still a very nice container inside the box. And maybe they'll have a pledge that where you get.
That's what I'm saying. That you might be able to get
Lancashire,
all 3 games. the iron clays. That probably will be a pretty penny, but it's definitely worth it.
Also, by the way, this is a note to the one person who commented on our brass video about how we pronounced Birmingham and Lancashire.
Oh, sure.
I can't remember what his pronunciation was for Lancashire, but they say Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
Not Birmingham. And
it's probably like Lancashire or something.
Lancashire.
Yeah,
Lancashire.
which is not how we pronounce things over here.
So
sorry.
Sorry. We'll try to get it pronounced correctly in time for the campaign coming in February.
We can say Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
There we go.
Yeah. Come at us about Pittsburgh.
I think we're pronouncing that properly.
And brass.
Yeah, that's an
It's
easy
not
one.
brass.
Yeah, but
brass, Pittsburgh.
I am excited for this one for a lot of reasons, but this is another game that when this came out, and this was the Cuddingtons that did the design and artwork for this for the original set of brass games. Maybe at the time the most beautiful Euro board I'd ever seen, and just completely changed the game for like what we expected a Euro game to look like.
Yeah, I remember
and they're coming back for Pittsburgh too.
Feeling it was very rich. It was dark.
Yeah.
It was a very dark looking board. And in fact, I was surprised it was Cuddingtons because they had done Santorini.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's
very different.
That's very different. But yeah, it's very rich and beautiful. And I'm sure this one is as well. But those are 10 big crowdfunding campaigns coming, mostly this year, a little next year. If you know of any, let us know in the comments below. I'm sure we missed some. In fact, we had a much longer list, and we were like knocking some off just so the video wasn't
because
crazy
some
long.
of them are already going to launch. Like, check out our channel. I wanted to.
Yeah, we've got a lot that we're covering.
Did a whole video on Glad to Cruise achievements, which is probably already launched by the time this video's out. So
yeah, so be sure to get down in the comments below. Let us know what you thought of these campaigns, if you think there are some other campaigns worth noting. And then we'll probably do another one of these maybe early 2026 to look at maybe the first half of 2026.
Yeah, and we'll probably start getting back to doing more regular crowd control videos where we talk about crowdfunding projects. Let us know in the comments.
Hold them to that. Those. We haven't been doing crowd control in a while.
We've been traveling a lot, going cons and stuff.
Here's what we'll do. We'll try to get crowd control back and do it maybe every other week.
Yeah.
Because doing a weekly thing, it's a bit much. It's to mix that in with everything else that we're doing, it's a bit much. But we'll try to bring crowd control. Let us know in the comments below what you think about that. Until next time, though, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.